Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this Raid Shadow Legends video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about gear enhancement events and how to complete them as effectively as possible. I'm making this video when there's a Crowcard the Throat Ripper fusion going on that's going to have 3 gear enhancement events in it. But the basic structure will remain the same, so this video is still going to be applicable after this event. Also, thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video and allowing me to weave Excels all day in order to find out the best ways to complete the events for you. So if you need a new Raid account, then use my link. There's a link in the QR code on the screen. There's another one down below in the description, same link. It gives you a new account with Elenaril after the tutorial, then Tagoar and Uugo later on, so some pretty sweet champions. And it also supports the channel. But the gear enhancement events. So this is what the top tier of the gear enhancement event for Crowcard looks like. So we have Crowcard fragments at 4,775 points and the entire event takes 6,500 points. But the specifics will vary. The events can change over time and there are different tiers even in this Crowcard event. So for example, Crowcard fragments, you can get them at 3,000 points if you have a mid-tier account, 4,775 points for higher level accounts. The overall event can be 6,500 points, 4,000 points. I think there's even a lower level for accounts below level 40. So you're going to need a little bit varying amount of points. However, what has remained the same all the time is how many points you get for various actions in gear enhancement events. So you can just calculate, okay, how many points do I need? What do I need to do? The points come from upgrading your artifacts or your accessories, but accessories are a little bit more expensive to upgrade than your artifacts, so you generally want to stay on the artifact side. And here's the table of the points. So upgrading stuff to level 4 is going to give you, starting from 1 point, or up to 3 points for 6 stars, and upgrading something to level 16 for 6 star to level 16, that's going to give you 340 points, and overall 6 star from fresh to 16 is more than 400 points. So okay, that's how you get those points, and you need a few thousand, but upgrading artifacts can get quite expensive. Here's a table of the cumulative total cost to upgrade artifacts. The upgrade cost for artifacts depends only on the star rank. It doesn't depend on the rarity at all. For accessories are considered to be 1 star higher, and then they have 6 star accessories have an own tier for their own. But yeah, so upgrading a 6 star artifact to level 16 costs on average 1.9 million silver. These are average values. You're going to get guaranteed upgrades up to rank 4. So level 4 artifacts, those are guaranteed. They're going to cost exactly that much. But everything beyond that, there's always a chance. So these are just the averages. And in order to turn this table into more useful data for gear enhancement event in particular, we need to take into account how many points we get for various ranks. So here I have 2 tables that do exactly that. First, there's gear enhancement cost per point, starting from fresh gear, upgrading to specified level. How much silver has it cost you to get a single point for the event? And also from previous point level, so you typically upgrade artifacts into 4 and into 8 and into 12, so that just you get all those substance rolls. So if you upgrade from 4 to 8, how much does that cost per point? So if you have some like +8 artifacts lying around, then is it useful to upgrade them to +12? And as for that one, there actually is, because from +4 to +8 is really expensive, but from +8 to +12 isn't that expensive per point anymore. Also from these we can see that upgrading artifacts to level 4 is the most silver efficient thing that you can do, followed by upgrading your 5 stars and your 6 stars to 12 and 16. So you don't really want to be upgrading those 4 star, 3 star artifacts very far. Another thing that we can see from the table is the total cost, and if we want to aim for 4,775 points, then that is going to cost around 22 million silver. Yeah, that's quite a lot of silver. It could also cost only 5.6 million silver, but then you would have to have 4,775 1-star artifacts. You don't want to go farming for 1-star artifacts, and you only have 1,600 slots anyway for artifacts. You can't hoard them like that, so that's just not a practical solution. Also, upgrading to +8 is generally bad, but if you have PCs that are already +8 and they're 5 or 6 star PCs, then upgrading them to +12 will give you more bang for your silver than you would get from upgrading fresh artifacts to +12. So the Gear Enhancement event is rather simple if you have a huge stack of silver handy, but what if you don't? What can you do? What can you do right now, for example, in the Crowhide event? So Spider 20 is the best silver farm in the game. If you're able to farm Spider 20, then that can be a good source of silver. Then, of course, it becomes worse if you can't farm that and your team is just a little bit lower level. Spider 11 is better for silver than Brutal 12-3. So Spider is still pretty competitive, but you could also combine it, for example, with Brutal 12-3. So let's say you also need to train your champions and you want silver. Then Brutal 12-3 suddenly becomes a lot more attractive because you might not have a team that can, you might not have a champion that can solo Spider 11 even. Another thing to keep in mind is you can forge gear for profit. Whatever you forge, the sell price is always higher than the price of forging the item, so you will always turn in a profit from forging gear. You can also forge gear and upgrade it to +4 if you want some of those cheaper points, and then sell it, and that will still turn in a profit. So if you're out of silver but you have any forge mats lying around, those can really help you out. If you need pieces to upgrade, so you don't have good pieces, you don't have good gear that you want to upgrade, so you want pieces to upgrade and you want silver as well, then you could do Dragon 20. But again, what if you can't farm Dragon 20? Well, then you could do Brutal 12-3, and if you can't even do that, then you could do Hard 12-3, although the efficiency does drop bit by bit. So overall, your primary goal is to upgrade your useful 5-star and 6-star pieces to +12 or +16. That's what you want to do. And when you can't do that, or if you just need a little bit of extra points here and there, you can upgrade stuff that you don't really need to +4 and then sell that afterwards and turn in a profit and just keep that thing running. Obviously, you will ultimately be limited either by your energy to get new gear or by your forge materials to forge new gear. But still, that's how you do the Gear Enhancement event. Somewhat costly of an event, but can also be rewarding. Just look into the reward path, determine which rewards you are really after, and then go on from there. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.